friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you part one of a Q&A series regarding homeschool curriculum. Lots of questions that you guys submitted over on my Instagram. I got so many questions that I had to write them down because I didn't want to be looking at my phone, going through my DMs. It was just going to be too much. So if you asked a question about homeschool or a specific curriculum, I am answering every single question I got, and for that reason, this video will be 2 parts. So stay tuned in the second part if your question isn't answered this go around in the first one. But let's jump in. I did the intro in under a minute, so I'm doing really well. Let's get this thing started because otherwise it's going to be like 25 minutes long. So my first round of questions here. From Finding Our Moments asked, do I do poetry and how do I do it? Yes, we do poetry. It is a part of our Sonlight packages. My younger ones, their poetry book is the Mother Goose Rhymes. There are some poems in there. And then there's also the llama who had no, you're supposed to say pajama, so it rhymes. We do that one. And then my older ones, they got a poetry book that really has a nice collection of lots of different poets. And then there's a CD that they're able to listen to it in someone else's voice besides mine. And we do that, those books once per week. And I usually put them all together. So they do some silly poems, my older ones, and then my younger ones, here's some poems that they've got no clue what's going on, Shakespeare and different things like that. I've tried to do a poetry tea time, and actually I was just cleaning out my kitchen and pulled out the tea set, and my kids hadn't seen it in a while, and they all requested to do hot chocolate and do some poems. So I have done that. It's not something I do all the time, but clearly I need to implement it more because when they saw the set, they asked. So that made me feel good. I really just, when I did that, I just put snacks in the center of the table. I made hot chocolate in the teapot, and I just gathered a bunch of different poems and we just read them for a short while. But yes, that is, we do poetry. It is a part of our school on a weekly basis. And like I said, I lump them all together, even if I'm not doing a sit-down poetry tea time. The next question that I got was from Maybaby16. Do I like Sonlight Language Arts? She's heard mixed reviews. Yeah, and it's funny because you're not alone. There's so many people who go back and forth with language arts, it seems like, with Sonlight. And I have to be honest, I kind of felt the same way when I first started homeschooling. But as I researched and as I learned, I realized that all language arts, curriculums, programs, they all pretty much are the same thing because there's only so many ways you can teach grammar and so many ways you can teach sentence diagramming and so many ways you can teach brainstorming bubbles. Like, there's just only so much you can do with language arts. Now, you might find a program you like a little bit more, but in general, they're all pretty much the same. And do I like it? I've used it. I've continued to use it. I've added things into it like Explode the Code, Wordly Wise, some extra creative writing. But in general, I feel like it does what it's supposed to do without it being like rigor. And you know, I like that they're just little small chunks. But yeah, I think it works. I'm not like, wow, I love the language arts program so much, but I just feel like it's language arts. So Jenna Newsham, I don't know, asked, am I still using Sonlight? And if not, why? Sorry, I'm not answering your question today. I will be doing a whole video on that, so stay tuned. Lots of Littles asked, have I looked into the Good and the Beautiful history? She's looking, this mom has like 5 kids under the age of 8, and she's looking for ease with all of her kids. Yes, look into it. It'll work. I really recommend it. Faith 2010, Bree Rund, and Kennedy Party of 9 all asked me the same question. What will we use next year? It's coming. The announcement is coming. But yeah, it needs to be its own separate video because I've got a lot to say about it. So stay tuned for that, you guys. Red Poppies for Me asked, how do I handle so many read-alouds and do I break them up? Whoa. Yes, I break them up. I usually put, she shared some of her situation, so I'm gonna kind of answer that. So yeah, I break them up. I put a reader for bedtime reading, so automatically one of the read-alouds goes for bedtime reading. I usually pick the fun light read for the bedtime reading because who wants to learn about history at like 8 o'clock at night? And yes, I do Bible time with all my kids, and then our shared books we do together. And then usually when I'm going to get into the like meat of what I want to teach them, like something that I know is going to take a while, we'll have our morning snack while they're doing that. And I find that that really helps keep their attention longer. But yeah, I don't spend 2 hours reading to my kids because there's just no way that they would pay attention. So I do little chunks and that works well. And my morning basket system, kind of how I described how I do that, really also helps with that. Let's see. She also asked, what did I do when with my littlest one when we did school? I tried to engage her in things, but when she was 3, she was just quite honestly a pain in the butt. She would crawl under the table. She wanted nothing to do with the sensory boxes I made her and all these things to try to keep her interested. It was just difficult, and she didn't nap when she was 3, so we just had to work around her. Not a lot of strategy there. I didn't cave into screen time too often, but if it was really bad, I would. And let's see. Sodbuster Living asked me, will I homeschool through high school? And I love this question, and I'm going to answer it. I feel like every mom who gets asked this question whose kids are younger veers away and says, I don't know what I'll do for high school because it's so far away. And while I share some of those sentiments, I'm going to answer it. I think yes. I think I will homeschool my kids through. It'll change, but I think they'll be home through high school. And let's see. She asked, is the good and the beautiful for family style teaching or for like more one-on-one teaching? I think the history and geography portion is wonderful from what I've seen for teaching my kids all together. And then of course they have their individual grade level stuff that would be more one-on-one. But I think the history and the sciences really do work well for a family, which is why and how they created it with that purpose intended. Misty Michelle Hill asked, is Sonlight's history enough, and do I feel like you need to supplement it? No supplements. Sonlight, while I've never said it's too much or it's a lot of people feel that way. I don't feel that way. I like that there's a lot to it. I feel like my kids learn a lot. But you definitely do not need to supplement it. Yeah, it's enough. Let's see. Michaela Lathrop, sorry if I ruined your name, asked, what did I write? Okay, she's wondering about purchasing Sonlight or The Good and the Beautiful brand new. Which one would I recommend? She's a brand new homeschooler. Would I send her to Sonlight or would I send her to The Good and the Beautiful? And I have to say, there's no wrong choice. You will love either direction you go. Without knowing like your kids' ages and things, it would be hard for me to recommend one, but I always think when you're starting out, taking a less is more approach is wise. So I would really recommend both, which I know is not what you wanted to hear, But yeah, without more information, it's hard for me to say. I started with Sonlight, so you know it works when you're starting out as well. But I really love a lot of the good and the beautiful. So you have two choices. I don't think you can go wrong. So that's going to be the last question for this half of the Q&A. Part 2 will be uploaded right after this in a day or so, you guys, so stay tuned. And if you asked a question and it wasn't answered today, it will be in that video. Thanks for watching. Please give this Q&A a thumbs up. And if you've got any more questions for me, post them down below, and I will see you guys in my next video.